What is the most embarrassing thing your child has said in public? I was standing in line with my daughter at a bank waiting for a teller. She was 3 at the time. In the line ahead of us was a very obese man. "Mommy, look at that fat man. Why is he so fat? Mommy, why is that man so fat?" I died a little inside that day. This was back in 1998. I live in a fairly small town in British Columbia, Canada. It is about 99% white people. I had my daughter at the grocery store and there was a person of color at the checkout. My 2-year-old pointed at her and said, "It's Oprah! It's Oprah!" My soul left my body. My then 3-year-old boy was riding in the toy car, shopping cart they have at the grocery store, and my wife is pushing the cart down the aisle. We came upon an older lady who is momentarily blocking the aisle with her cart as she reaches for something on a lower shelf. We stop for a second as the lady pulls her cart out of the way. My boy smacks the little plastic steering wheel with his hand and straight up yells, "Get the f*** out of the way, you moron!" I got a well-deserved lecture from my wife about what I say in front of him while driving. I was in Target with my 4-year-old boy twins. One has a nervous habit of grabbing his parts. I quietly said to him, "Hands off, dude," and he yells at the top of his lungs, "But mama, my penis won't go down." I don't think I've ever left Target so fast. We were in Costco. My son, who was about 5 at the time, ran up to me, grabbed my hand, and started pulling me toward the next aisle. "Dad, Dad, look, real ninjas," while pointing at 2 women in full burqas. When my daughter was in kindergarten, she overheard some people speaking another language in a store. She asked what it was, and they said Portuguese. She was so excited and said, "I know that language," then bowed and said, "Konnichiwa." My 3-year-old was being a total turd in Target. As we're running around trying to get out, she sees someone with an obvious birth defect stocking the makeup shelves. Before we could whisk her away, she shouts, "Look at his tiny arms! Tiny T-Rex arms!" She was so excited for this guy, who was not at all amused by her. We were at a fairly nice restaurant, and my brother was teasing my daughter. My daughter screamed at him to stop and threatened to call him the N-word. The N-word was nipple. When my midwife was pregnant with her 2nd child, her 3-year-old daughter asks why Mummy's belly is so big. She's told there's a baby in there. She turns to Daddy and asks, "Do you have a baby in there too?" Dad replies gently, "No, I'm just fat." A few days later, there's a very large lady behind them in the checkout line. The little girl asks the lady, "Do you have a baby in your tummy like my mummy?" The lady is kind and just says no, she doesn't, to which the girl responds, "Oh, just fat then?" My son had some issues differentiating between A and O. On his 3rd birthday, we were at a restaurant and the waitress asked if he was ready for cake. His response, "Cock? I love cock." His mom and I both yelled, "Cake! He loves cake!" This was the early 80s. My child was about 4 years old. We're on a bus and a Sikh gentleman was also there and my kid says, "Oh, look, Mommy, it's a genie." I took my 3-year-old to Disney World. After about an hour in the park, we both have to go to the bathroom. We head off to one of the main bathrooms right next to the castle. I let the boy go first. He performed a nice quick dump, complete with the customary "good job" from me as we were still reinforcing the potty training mantras. Then I, of course, sit down and perform my own glorious number 2. At this point, my child starts saying in a voice that can only be described as booming, "Good job, Daddy! You're the best pooper I know." This led to chuckles from the long line of stalls populated by other fathers. I clean up and go wash my hands to find that I'm now getting the nods of approval from everyone in the can who heard the interchange. I was the best pooper at Disney World that day. My 5-year-old daughter and I signed up for karate. Her class goes first while I read a book in the seats in the back, followed by my class, while she waits for me with a coloring book. Lots of other families in our classes do the same arrangement. While I'm at the very front of the room, I hear another parent at the back, about 40 students and parents in between, tell my daughter that she didn't see us in class the night prior. My daughter said, "I know! My mom had the poopy poop so bad, you would not believe it. She was all like, 'Ugh.'" In the bathroom for hours. I wanted to drop dead of embarrassment. My niece loudly announced at a family dinner that she wanted a f***. We all turned and looked at this little 3-year-old, and her mother said she'd work on speech therapy with her, as she handed her daughter a fork. My youngest sibling is 10+ years my junior, so I grew up with him embarrassing me in public. The worst was around Christmas one year when we went to Walmart after going to a church service. The service was about the virgin birth and how no other virgin had ever had a baby before. My brother was probably about 4 to 5 at the time, so while he didn't know exactly what made someone a virgin, that service taught him virgins couldn't have babies. Anyway, we're in the checkout line, and behind us is a woman who is obviously pregnant. My brother points to her and says very loudly, "Look, that lady isn't a virgin." I had my toddler son walk into the bathroom at Target with me. He immediately said, "Oh man, it stinks in here," followed by, "I think the smell is coming from those shoes," as he bent over looking under the stalls. One day when my eldest was about 6, he woke up claiming he was sick. He was groggy and a little warm and complained of a scratchy throat, so I kept him home from school and called in sick to work. I put him back to bed and sat down to play a video game while the kids slept. Around 10 a.m., the kid has not only not fallen back asleep, he's bouncing around the house giddily, so I decide he's not sick after all and needs to go to school. It takes me about 10 minutes to find a save point. Then I got him dressed and drive him over. When we walk into the school office, the receptionist greets us and goes to check the kid in. As per procedure, she asks us why my son is late arriving at school. Before I can open my mouth, my darling son says, "Oh, I'm late because Mom was playing video games." When my daughter was 3, she got sick enough for me to take her to a walk-in. It was a busy time of day, so I decided to go to this more out-of-the-way clinic so I could get her looked at faster. Wouldn't you know it, an old high school classmate of mine that I did not enjoy as a person at all walked in and sat directly across from us. I know he recognized me because he made eye contact and did a slight nod. So quick background. I drank a lot of sugary drinks before I had my daughter, and my teeth deteriorated as a result. I didn't have insurance until my daughter was 2.5, so I hadn't started the process of fixing them quite yet. This precious child of mine, in the middle of laying in my lap whimpering, looked straight up at me and said, "Mommy, why do your teeth look dead?" In this quiet-ass waiting room with my nemesis from years ago staring directly at me. I will never recover. It's been years and my teeth are perfect again, but it still haunts me. I love her so much, the little shit. And that concludes the most cringe-worthy moments when kids do the most embarrassing things in public. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you won't miss an upload. This is Reddit Story Hour. Stay curious, stay kind, and see you in the next video.